Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. It is time now for the War on Gaza report. Every single night here on the channel, we cover Israel's war on Gaza. We discuss all the data, all the numbers, all the developments, all the arguments, and we try to cover it from a perspective that mainstream media ignores. We try to give you information that corporate outlets don't provide. That is uh, the goal. That is the purpose of our War on Gaza report. And so tonight, as always, we begin with the numbers. We begin with the thing that keeps us coming back, and that is the fact that no matter how much the world resists, no matter how much outrage there is, Israel continues to prosecute a genocidal war on Gaza. And today, that war has reached day 231. 231 days of genocidal war. This is not easy to take, and numbers are reflective of that reality. As of now, at least 35,857 people have been killed since October 7th in Israel's war on Gaza. And in addition to that 35,857 number, there's another 80,293 who have been wounded. And of course, we know that the number of people killed in Israel after Hamas's attack remains steady at 1,139 with not 39, 1,139 with dozens held captive. Today was a huge day when it comes to the war on Gaza. One of the reasons, I mean, there's so many reasons, but the biggest news, without a question, is the fact that the United Nations top court today ordered Israel to immediately halt its controversial military operation in Rafah. Rafah is the southern city in Gaza that has been targeted by the Israeli military, by the Israeli government, by Netanyahu for a very long time. Despite the fact that the global consensus was that this would create a humanitarian crisis, that this would create extraordinary peril for the Palestinians there, Netanyahu has insisted that he is going to continue. Well, the International Court of Justice, which again is the top court in the United Nations, they said no. They said absolutely not. Judge Nawaf Salam, president of the ICJ, said Israel, quote, Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in Rafah, which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about, it's important, that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. That language is not coincidental. That could inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. That's the language of genocide. That's the language directly from international conventions and laws and such. This is not coincidental. And this is exactly what the ICJ has been doing since day one. They say, oh, we're not saying you're committing genocide, but don't do these things. And these things are textbook definitions of genocide. Anyway, the court considers the humanitarian situation in Rafah to be classified as, quote, dangerous. And Judge Nawaf Salam added that UN officials have indicated that the situation was set to, quote, intensify even further if the Israeli operation in Rafah continues. Now, let's be clear. There's nothing that he said that was shocking. It's nothing that he said that was innovative or new. Nothing that he said that fundamentally challenged or contradicted international law. Or I'm sorry, the international legal community, international humanitarian community, the diplomatic community, everything that the ICJ said, the world already knows. So it's a little interesting that this is being treated by some as a revelation, but most people aren't treating it um, as a revelation. Most people are treating it as a kind of duh, to use the technical term. They're basically saying, yeah, of course the ICJ would say that. The ICJ has been committed to stopping genocide. That's what they've been expressing. And everyone said that the ICJ has absolved Israel or ICJ has not blamed Israel. The ICJ has consistently told Israel to stop doing things that, if they were to continue, would be genocidal. The ICJ has consistently pushed back against Israeli military tactics, against the blocking of humanitarian aid. They've called for all of the kind of accountability measures to ensure that this does not happen. So this is no surprise at all. Now, rulings by the ICJ are final, by the court, they're final, and they're binding. And what they specifically ordered was for Israel to open the Rafah crossing for humanitarian assistance. And they said that the evacuation and living conditions provided by Israel are not, quote, sufficient to alleviate the immense risk which the Palestinian population is exposed to. So there's no complexity or complications here. There's no ambiguity here. It's very, very clear what needs to be done. The ICJ could not have been clearer. But Israel, you'll be shocked to know, feels differently. Israeli officials immediately condemned the ruling. Yair Lapid, who's the leader of Israel's opposition party, Yesh Atid, said the fact that the ICJ did not even directly connect the end of the military operation in Rafah to the release of the hostages and to Israel's right to defend itself against terror is an abject moral failure. Naftali Bennett, who was the 13th prime minister of Israel, he tweeted, the International Court of Justice just provided every terror organization on earth with the quote, well, not quote, with the caps, perfect method to get away with murder. So this is the context. Israel is not taking this lightly. Israel has made it very clear that despite the orders from international courts, they are not changing their tune. They called the ICJ binding order, quote, outrageous, morally repugnant, and disgusting. I'm not yawning because it's boring. It's not boring, although that tired excuse is. And of course, Israel argues that, the claims of genocide are false. I don't know what else it's going to take. History is going to look back on this moment with great frustration, with great confusion, with great, it's going to be like, wait, the whole world said this and they did that. International law said this and they did that. The high court said this and they did that. It's going to look absurd. It's going to be like, wait, and the world was complicit as all this was happening? Yeah, that is the case. Moving on, the UN's emergency aid chief says Israel's war on Gaza has been a, quote, tragedy beyond words, and it must, quote, end this nightmare. Unfortunately, despite all that hullabaloo, despite all the criticism, despite all the court rulings, Israeli tanks and troops have now advanced into Rafah's southeast, and they're moving toward the city's densely populated western district. No surprises here. So basically, Israel has decided that no matter what the courts say, no matter what the global community says, they're going to continue to invade, they're going to continue to attack, they're going to continue to bombard, they're going to continue to, in my opinion, commit acts of genocide. And it's not just my personal opinion, it's grounded in fact and law and custom. And this is the crisis that we're dealing with. Anyway, family, that is the war on Gaza update today. I just wanted to talk to you about the ICJ report, let you know the unfortunate death toll, and let you know that we have to stay vigilant, because despite the fact that the High Court gave this history-making ruling, it means nothing. International law means nothing if the international community does not follow it and enforce it. And that's what it's all about. I think we're going to do an office hours later, probably 11 o'clock. I'll notify you. In the meantime, stay strong. Let's keep fighting this battle because we got freedom on the horizon, but we must always do the work. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button to support the channel, which is the independent media. We appreciate y'all, and I'll see you at office hours in just a little bit. Peace.